Substack post, Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. If ever there was a time to heal the past, present, and future, it's now.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time.
Albert Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. And a few years ago, I began to imagine that time was stacked on top of itself. Not linear, no past, present, future, no beginning, middle, and end. No first act, second act, third act, intermission. Shakespeare is old news. There's just an ongoing energy of nowness, just coexisting with every version of myself.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time.
So, what if imagination is the only truth? Every event, every single encounter, every entrapment becomes something positive and loving and fortunate and blessed.
Who can say when the roads meet that love might be in your heart? And who can say when the day sleeps if the night keeps all your heart? Night keeps all your heart. Who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time. And who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. Who knows? Only time. Who knows? Only
Personal pain, personal experience is the remedy for healing the world. It's the touchstone of spiritual growth. Victimhood is unproductive. Humor is like medicine. We experience these metaphoric deaths constantly. Each time we give in to the weight, the gravitational pull downward into victimhood. And in each new story, he is always given another chance, another life experience to see the truth, to get it right, that he can create his own life. He is sovereign and free. I think my grandfather understood this as well.
The medicine in magic is in taking people out of themselves. And when they relax, they're lost in a happy fantasy and they're laughing and giggling, having a good time and everything. There's my reward.
And free-falling faith works for the good of our hearts, because all things work for the good of those who stay in a place of love and compassion. Snow White and the 7 Anthony Faucis. Once upon a time, there was a little princess named Snow White. She spent most of her time hidden away from the world by her jealous stepmother. One day, the queen's huntsman informed the little princess that there was an invisible airborne monster flying through the kingdom. There was a pandemic. So he told her to run as fast as she can, far away from the kingdom, and into the forest where she could hide away forever. So Snow White ran, frightened and alone, until finally she found a small empty house tucked away in the middle of the trees. She went inside and put herself on lockdown, but soon there was a knock on the door, and a little old lady offered her a bright red shiny apple. She said it was a magic apple, and if Snow White would take a bite, then she would be protected from the invisible airborne monster. So, Snow White took a bite, but the apple didn't prevent the invisible monster from getting her. It got her right away, and Snow White fell to the floor into a deep, deep sleep, and into a deep, hypnotic dream. In her dream, she was visited by Dr. Anthony Fauci. He told her he was from the NIAID, letters that meant he was from a place that studied magic potions, such as what the bright red shiny apple was made of. So he was an expert in the matter. He said he had a riddle for her to solve, and if she could solve the riddle, she could wake up out of this dream and go back home to her castle and become the queen. Snow White took the challenge. And so Dr. Anthony Fauci turned into 7 little dwarfs, the 7 Anthony Faucis. He asked her to figure out which of the 7 dwarfs were right, which had the correct perspective. So first she met Doc. He was the doctor, very well educated. He knew everything about everything. He was the leader, and he informed Snow White that he took a bite of the apple and told everyone else to eat it too. Then she met Sneezy. Sneezy had followed Doc's advice, and so of course he ate the apple. But he was always sick. He couldn't stop sneezing. Quite an uncomfortable existence for him to live this way. Then Snow White met Bashful. He was shy, so covering his face with a mask was a welcomed opportunity. So he ate the apple as well, hoping that by following along he might be a part of the clique. But alas, even after eating the apple, he continued to wear a mask. Then she met Dopey. He wanted to get along with everyone, so he followed their lead and ate the apple too. Then she met Grumpy, and he was quite skeptical. He did his own research and found 1,000,001 reasons why the magic apple was no good, so he absolutely refused to take a bite. So Snow White moved on to Happy. Happy was the exact opposite to Grumpy. He was optimistic and he always saw the silver lining. So he refused to eat the apple because he believed in natural immunity, the power of the body to heal itself and protect itself. So finally she met the last of the 7 dwarfs. This was Sleepy. He was a dreamer. He was talking in his sleep, and so she knew his words would be the most interesting of all, because this was a conversation which was a dream inside a dream. Snow White was dreaming, and Sleepy was talking through his dreams. He told her of a man named Carl Jung. He was a man that studied the psychology of the mind and the soul. He said that Carl Jung described every character in a dream as the dreamer himself, different perspectives and experiences and emotions of her. And so she thought about that if all these different views are within her, then they are all one. And so she presented to Dr. Anthony Fauci her answer to the riddle that all 7 dwarfs were correct, because we are all one. This shocked Dr. Anthony Fauci. But because Snow White had seen the truth, that all perspectives are valid because of the grace of oneness, of unity, of pure love, of God, she was released from this dream, from this deep hypnotic sleep. This is the secret behind the synchronicity of the prince finding the sleeping Snow White. deep in the middle of the forest that day. This was the real reason she woke up when he kissed her. It was her pure heart that returned her to the kingdom. You may be wondering what happened to Dr. Anthony Fauci after Snow White became queen. Although his expert advice had caused division and fear across the nation, and he even told a pretty big lie or two, Snow White knew that the real remedy was to strengthen the minds and hearts of the people across the land. It would do no good to make Anthony Fauci a villain or a hero. He was only a messenger, but he was also a great teacher. So, Snow White ordered Dr. Anthony Fauci to study and teach all the people about unity, compassion, and the power of love for the rest of his days. And they all lived happily ever after. The end. The past may be filled with unrest, dishonesty, but no matter the tragedy, the injustice, there is always a blessing, a gift hidden inside. With the Stoic practice of observing instead of reacting, of stepping back instead of engaging in low-level reactions, the blessings start illuminating, and no matter how harsh things may seem, if you suspend the emotion, the reaction, remove the labeling of it as bad, then you start to see how it is a blessing in disguise, and you simply elevate spiritually. From friends to coworkers to organizations or government agencies or other authorities, betrayal can come in all forms behind the scenes, but it's made better with the realization that there is a gift hidden inside it. Like the greatest emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, during one of his greatest betrayals in the year 175, if you're mentally prepared for the worst so that it doesn't knock you off center if it happens, you stay in a place that is balanced and secure, an inner equilibrium. His morning meditation ritual is a great practice, even for the world's population, against the controlling and corrupt forces that are trying to divide and disempower the people. As we enter an all-encompassing digital age, forever wars, gain of function, acceptance, and normalcy of experimental bioweapons and improperly tested vaccines and other pharmaceutical products to be used for everything, we can react on their level as we have been trained to, or we can empower ourselves, build up our strength and connectedness with each other. Imagine that every event, every single encounter, every entrapment is something positive and loving, fortunate and blessed.
Imagine a place you can always escape to.
Albert Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. And a few years ago, I began to imagine that time was stacked on top of itself. Not linear, no past, present, future, no beginning, middle, and end. No first act, second act, third act, intermission. Shakespeare is old news. There's just an ongoing energy of nowness. Just coexisting with every version of myself. So, what if imagination is the only truth? Every event, every single encounter, every entrapment becomes something positive and loving and fortunate and blessed.
Imagine a room where the flowers that bloom through the cracks in the floor and the ceiling. Just you and the missus and rose-scented kisses. My, what a wonderful feeling. Welcome to mystery.
Through the pain is a transformation experienced through the renewing of your mind in peace and harmony.